Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the RaceSpot TV All Star Invitational here on RaceSpot TV. We're present here in the English side of things. Of course, we've got Rafael Sank and Bruno Luna doing the job over on the Portuguese side of things as well. Don't forget, you can flick between English commentary and Portuguese commentary all race long for the events here today. And we are proud to be with you here, as I said, on RaceSpot TV here all evening long. So, we've got ourselves two races here today. The first one is going to be on the road course. And then a little bit later on, we'll head ourselves onto the oval for a little bit more racing as well. That will take place after this race is concluded. And don't forget, we've got ourselves a little bit of an announcement for you guys as well. We will be announcing the details of the 2014 16th Street Racing League. That will be here on RaceSpot TV a little bit later on today. So then, we've got ourselves about 11 minutes worth of a practice lesson. We're looking high above at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's go and get yourselves to have a look and see what is going on in qualifying right now. And you'll see the timings on the side of your screen. They will update yourself over the course of qualifying. So all the latest qualifying news, of course, coming your way on the left-hand side of the screen. Gonna check in very quickly with Eduardo Bunker running himself right now in the 6th position. He's just completed himself on that one at 13.647. Michael Dinkle currently leads the way in qualifying, of course, one of the stars of this year's ISOWC IndyCar Series, winning every single road course of that so far as Rafael Massa just grinds to a halt. Checking in, you see there is Eric Davis right behind him, currently running himself in 8th in qualifying. You'll see drivers 14 on back haven't yet set themselves a qualifying time. Well, they will be going out in the second part of qualifying, which will be starting in just 1 moment's time. Having a look at Eric Davis, checker flag is out for the first group. He's going to bring his car down onto pit road, so he will not get himself one more lap in. That is Eric Davis there in the number 65 Banshee, an Autosport car, bringing his car onto pit road. No further part of qualifying for him. Let's check in on Tim Doyle, winner of the 2011 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500, as he comes past the start-finish line for the final time. Currently running in 11th. Does he improve his time? The answer is yes. Not going to improve his position, however, he gets himself 10th provisionally on the grid. So then, drivers are coming out now for the second part of qualifying. Going to get themselves out on the racetrack. Having a look now on board with Randy Crosno as he's getting ready to start a lap in the number 66 LX racing car. Just working themselves down this back straightaway right now. So I take that back to number 10 LX racing car. And he is going to try and get himself a good first lap. And of course, in these type of events, always getting yourself that good banker lap early is important. One of the shortest racetracks we will go to this season on RaceSpot TV. But see Crosno giving himself a little bit of space. That means that if he catches the car ahead of him, hopefully he won't do so on this flying lap as he comes onto the banking. 9 degrees of banking here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Of course, we're going on the opposite direction a little bit later on, but here comes Crosno about to take the green flag for his first qualifying lap of the day. So then he's going to come down into turn number 1. As I say, you can see there the times as they are on your screen right now, as a spinning car there on the exit of corner number 2. That might cause Crosno a couple of issues. You see the track is rather busy right now, but as they work themselves down in towards turn number 3, he is looking to see how he can go along on his journey in qualifying. A couple of other people to talk about right now. We're going to check in with Dennis Garees, winner of the 2012 Friday edition of the Indianapolis 500. Of course, RaceSpot TV, one of the broadcasting partners of the iRacing.com Indianapolis 500, and Gary spins it around there, so that's going to be his first lap completely done. Get off the track, your lap is going to be over, and he makes a little bit of contact there, one of the iRacing Brazil cars. Let's check in then with Jonathan Goke. You see Randy Crosno just at the bottom of your screen. He's had a bit of an issue, but here comes Goke onto the banking. Going to see how that last lap motorsports car fares. Of course, he was a winner the 2014 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 on the Friday edition top split, granting him eligibility for the race. He's going to come past start-finish line. Where's this lap going to put him? As he does so, the answer is going to be 1 minute 19.936, provisionally 10th place there for Jonathan Goke. Martin Nagel-Kirken currently working on the racetrack just ahead of Goke. There you see him in the number 82 car right now as he is putting himself a lap here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Let's have a look at a couple of corners on board of him. This is such a difficult corner, 180-degree left-hander. Then just as you end the apex, you've got to prepare yourself for turn number 6 on the racetrack, get yourself straightened up, and then you're down onto the Holman straightaway. This backstretch, which is actually used during the Indy 500 as an access road, many fans, millions of fans have walked up and down that road over history. Then this part of the track was reconfigured in 2006 from 2 hairpins into 2 90-degree corners, that final 90-degree corner, and then you are flat out onto the banking for the last couple of corners. Let's see what Nagel-Kirken can do. His last lap was slow, 1 minute 21.907. Working himself now down onto what is turn 1 of the oval, the final corner of the racetrack here on the road course. Martin Nagel-Kirken currently scored in the 20th position. Jonathan Goke just behind him as well. Will Nagel-Kirken be able to move up there? It's a 1 minute 15.405 up into 16th to him. Jonathan Goke does not improve his position. He still runs in the 11th spot on the racetrack. So then, we've got a couple other people to show you, and let's start off by having a look at Deco Guames driving for the iRacing Brazil car. There's a little bit of rivalry, of course. We need to talk about that. We'll talk about it in just a moment's time. Between drivers in the iRacing Brazil IndyCar Series, the ISOWC IndyCar Series, and the 16th Street Racing League. Of course, we're bringing you details of the 16th Street Racing League for 2014-15 in between races 1 and 2 here today on RaceSpot TV, as well as our broadcast commitments for that. But of course, we also broadcast the iRacing Brazil Series on iRacing Brazil, part of the RaceSpot TV family of networks. And finally, of course, we bring you the ISOWC IndyCar Series as well. Now, Guimarães working himself down on towards the banking in that number 20 car. Not yet set himself a competitive lap time. Will this get him into the top 25 as he brings himself now onto that 9 degrees worth of banking? Go on board with him there. You can just see the speed these guys carry. Over 170 miles an hour as they approach turn number 1. A 2 minute 50, very slow lap time now for Guimarães. He's going to try and have another go as he brings that car back down into turn number 1. Martin Nagel-Kirken, we showed him earlier, just running a little bit wide there. He's now down into the 18th position on the racetrack. He's on another lap. Trying to see whether he can improve his time. He's in the middle part of the racetrack right now. We've also got Andre Catamol, currently scored in the 22nd place right now. Second to last of the drivers who have set a lap time, looking to go a little bit faster this time around in that number 22 car as he brings himself down on the back straightaway, down that run into turn number 7 once again. Target gloves there for Catamol, and of course the famous Ayrton Senna helmet as he's going to cut the course there. That might get him a slow down. No, he'll be okay on that one as he works himself back onto the banking once again. There you see him coming into your shot now, blasting himself through this banking, and hopefully he's going to be able to get himself a little bit of a better lap time, improve on his 22nd position. Andre Catamol, 1:15.9 last time by as he comes past the stripe. That's not going to improve it at all. So this is going to be just 2 more laps for him now, potentially, to get himself up the grid a little bit further. Adriano Pianero right now working in the 3rd position overall in qualifying. Right now it's ISOWC's Michael Dinkel leading the way, 2 tenths for a second gap to Victor Del Porto, who runs in 2nd. Pinheiro is running in the 3rd place. Both of these drivers running the iRacing Brazil IndyCar Series. Then we got ourselves Nigel Marnif running in 4th for the ISOWC side of things, and then Mata running in 5th again for iRacing Brazil. Then Mikel De Jong, Dennis Griggs, Noel McBride, Bunker and Davis, they are currently your top 10. Great aerial shot here of Indianapolis Motor Speedway as Piano coming down into turn number 7 once again, as they currently classified in the 3rd place on the racetrack. And there's a view there from the rear of the iRacing Brazil car. Let's rotate that one to the front as he comes onto the bank, and let's see whether he can get himself set up for a good lap. That looked as though it was going to be a warm-up lap for him. So just one more lap to go, potentially. He might just about get 2 laps in, Andrea Piano there, but just trying to cool those tyres down, get as much grip as he can possibly get for the first half of his flat-out lap. Let's have a look at the timing screens. Will this be any faster? The answer is going to be no to that one. But here he comes down into turn number 1. You can just see how late these cars brake. Thankfully, no traffic ahead of him. You can see one car in the distance just coming out of turn number 3. Just clipping the cones there, that number 56 car, but he is out and away on another lap. And thankfully as well, as we look behind, there's no one really going to impede his lap from behind either. Let's check back in with Dennis Garis then. Garis is trying to move himself forward on the racetrack. And let's see where he is right now. 5th overall. About a second behind Michael Dinkel. Dennis Garis running in both the ISOWC IndyCar Series and the road races for the 16th Street Racing League as well this year. Hopefully looking to get himself another couple of races under his belt as he brings himself down into this very slow section of the racetrack. He might actually get a draft. This could help him. He's a little bit too far back to really get it now, but the car ahead of him just slows down a little bit. He might be able to get a draft. 45 seconds left on the play clock as the cars work themselves back down onto the banking. So Garis will get himself one more lap in as the play clock will expire in 30 seconds time. Coming past start finish line, you see he's trying to look for the draft. Does he improve his time? 1 minute 13.029, 028. That is his fastest lap. Doesn't improve his position, however. He still runs in the 5th spot. One more lap then to go for Dennis Garis. Jonathan Goke running in the 12th position. He is on his final lap as the clock is about to expire. And we've also still got Martin Nagel-Kirkin down in the 20th position. 4, 3, 2, 1. The clock has expired. Drivers now just have these last laps to get themselves up through the grid. Nagel-Kirkin running in the 20th position. You see also Dave Jinks, he's just had a spin actually. So it looks as though that he was trying to come onto pit road, to practicing a pit entry. Didn't work out for him. He needs to hope that he doesn't have to do a green flag pit stop here on the road race. But Deco Guermez still running in the 25th position as it stands right now. So we've got 4 cars left on the racetrack. Guimaraes is working himself towards the end of the lap, but then you have got Dennis Garis, the very fast Dennis Garis, trying to see whether he can get himself ahead of Nigel Magnus, but he's going to bring his car onto pit road. It's not going to happen for him. So let's turn our attention over to Martin Nagel-Kirkin. He's going to bring his car onto pit road. So just one more guy looking to improve their time. That is Deco Guimaraes in that number 20 car. A little bit slow there on the exit of turn number 10. Just a couple of corners left to go, and you see really struggling through this section of the racetrack. But has he got enough to get himself up from P25 as it is on the racetrack? His closest competitor is Terry Mattinson, who is about 4 tenths of a second ahead of him right now. Guimaraes, let's ride on board. He comes past start-finish line. Will this improve his time? The answer is going to be yes, it is. It's not going to improve his position, though. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it. That is qualifying in the books. And with that, we're going to run very quickly through your starting grid for this race. Then you see Michael Dinkel, pole position for him, 1 minute 12.356. Lining up alongside him is going to be Victor Del Porto in the number 27 static racing car. Andrea Piera in 3rd, and Nigel Magnus rounds out your top 4. As we continue to look through the grid, you see Garis in 5th, Rafael Mata in 6th, Michael De Jong in 7th, Noah McBride in 8th, Eduardo Benker in 9th, and then Eric Davis in 10th. Rest of qualifying coming up on your screen momentarily. Don't forget, in between races 1 and 2, we are going to be bringing you exclusive news about the 2014 16th Street Racing League. That will be right here on RaceSpot TV. As we continue to run through your grid here, you'll see a total of 28 cars, 31 cars making the journey here to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So then getting set to go racing here today for 25 laps around the road course. A little bit later on, of course, we will head over to the oval side of things for 50 laps of racing a little bit later on here today on RaceSpot TV. But we are getting ready for the start of this race. Standing start for this first race of the day as the last couple of cars just bringing themselves up into position. And any moment now, those lights will go on top of the iRacing.com gantry. We are going to be racing for a total of 25 laps. Will it be Michael Dinkel taking victory, or can one of the people behind him get the job done? Lights are about to go on. We are about to go racing, and this race will start right now. You see all these cars storming down into turn number 1 for the first time. It looks as though it's a really good start there by Nigel Manifest. Those cars storm down into 1. But it's going to be an iRacing Brazil sandwich. Oh no, Dinkel! Dinkel almost loops it there. Dinkel does loop it. There you see him from the front of this race. Michael Dinkel is going to be all the way down the field. And what a way to throw the race away from first position in this event. Let's get ourselves a replay of that. Michael Dinkel, there's chaos. We've got a car upside down. I believe that is Jonathan Goke there, actually, who is going to be out of this race. Brendan Lichtenberg's clearly had an issue, but we have had some big moments at the start of this race. Going to have to get ourselves a replay of that. But all of these cars working themselves now on the rear end of the racetrack. It is Victor Del Porto leading, Andrea Pinero in second, Nigel Manif in the third position right now. We are getting word of some drivers out of the race. Brendan Lichtenberg, Eduardo Bunker, Eric Davis, Evandro Garcia, and Wilson de Souza, as these cars continue their journey to put lap number 1 in the books. But all crazy in the first couple of corners here. And we'll get yourselves a replay of that in just a little while. But this guy right now, Victor Del Porto, is your race leader with about a 1 second advantage now over the iRacing Brazil car of, we're going to do wait for them to update, there we are, Andrea Pinero, about an 8 times to a second gap as they work themselves back down into turn number 1 once again. Looking from the rear of Del Porto. Del Porto goes a little bit loose there. That's going to hurt him. He's dropped down 3 positions. So just like what we saw a little bit a moment ago with Michael Dinkel, it is all going on in these early laps. And Victor Del Porto is the latest victor. We'll get ourselves a replay of that. So here we are riding on board with Victor Del Porto as they come down into turn number 1. This is what you see. He just hits the apex. Then as he tries to turn that car, he gets himself a little bit loose, tries to slow that car down. He doesn't miss anything, but you see the car just swarming around him. Thankfully, he only lost a couple of positions. He's still running in that 3rd place on the racetrack. So then, as it stands, it is now Pinero leading the way for Nigel Manif, who's running in the 2nd position. Victor Del Porto in 3rd, Mikel De Jong in 4th. Dennis Garis will round out your top 5. There is your race leader, and there you see the gap behind, about 1 second on the racetrack. Now Pinero is going to have to make sure he doesn't become the 3rd car in as many laps to lose this race down in turn number 1. You see very gingerly through there, but he's going to be able to get through that one okay. We've got Dave Jinks, issues with him. Potentially an issue with him on the racetrack, but Nigel Manif running in that 2nd position has got a little bit of pressure from behind him right now, and that is from Victor Del Porto, a recovering Victor Del Porto in that Static Racing number 27 car as they work themselves down the Holman straightaway once again. A little bit further down the field, things have settled up, but look at this. Dennis Garis is on the attack right now, and he is potentially going to try and get himself a pass as they get themselves. Oh no, De Vries again! Another car getting himself snapped loose. He's going to lose 2 positions there, and it is not working for some of these drivers in this race. Dennis Garis is really struggling now, but there is a potential him and Dinkel might be able to make a pass as they work themselves onto the front straightaway. Running on board now with Michael Dinkel. Let's see whether he can close up the car ahead of him. Michael Armstrong, as he's going to look down to the outside. No, he's not. Now he's going to look down to the outside into turn number 1. And it looks as though it's going to be the last of late breakers between Dinkel and that fast-headed machine of Michael Armstrong. And Dinkel's not going to be able to get the job done there down into turn number 1. He's been very gentle on the brakes, and he's lost it again. That's the second time now that Michael Dinkel has hurt his car. It's all gone wrong for him. And Dinkel now, after qualifying on pole position, is outside of the top 10. A little bit further back right now, we have got ourselves Dave Jinks, who's just spun his car around on the racetrack. Dave Jinks there in the Broken Arrow number 76 car. Drivers struggling to adapt to conditions right now at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Dave Jinks now running in the 21st position on the racetrack. But out front, it is still that guy, Andre Pianos, leading the way now from Nigel Marneef, and that gap is now up to 1.6 seconds on the racetrack. You can see him pulling away there. He's just in the background. Nigel Marneef is to Pinheiro as they come past start-finish line to put a total of 4 laps in the books here at IMS. Back down into turn 1. Pinheiro leads. Second place, Nigel Marneef. There is Nigel Marneef. And then the gap between him and Del Porto is 1.2 seconds on the racetrack. There is Del Porto. He's got a 2-second gap right now over Mikel De Jong. De Jong there on your shot with a 2-second advantage over Nell McBride, who runs himself right now in the 5th position. And then in 6th is Michael Armstrong. 7th is going to be Rafael Mata. Timing scoring just needs to update on that. Dennis Garis actually is now up into the 6th position, just making a pass there over Michael Armstrong. Then it's going to be Rafael Mata, Michael Dinkel, and Dinton Machino running out your top 10. But all the action happening in the very early going there. We have got a couple of people out of the race very early, and that is not what I want to do. So that's not Garista, but we have got a car very slow on the racetrack. We'll get confirmation of who that is in just one moment's time. But we're going to very quickly check in on board with Tim Doyle, winner of the 2011 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 for Team Nap Racing. As they work themselves onto the banking once again, Tim Miller, just ahead of him actually, is trying to work on traffic as well. There is Tim Miller. Will he try and set up a pass down into turn number 1? That's going to be over Brendan Lichtenberg. Last of the late breakers time. Who's going to get the job done? Here comes Miller looking down to the inside. Will he be able to brake a little bit later? The answer's going to be yes, he will. Nice pass there by Tim Miller in that number 91 car. So yeah, just a moment ago I was saying that we have had some people out of the race a little bit earlier than what they expected. We will try and get a word with a couple of them in a moment's time. Jonathan Goku Corso, in-race supporter for these events, out of the race, and that's not what we would have wanted to have happen to him. Mikel De Jong right now, by the way, he has fallen behind Nell McBride, and the gap between those two drivers, you see De Jong running in the 5th place, and just ahead of him, there is Nell McBride. You see him there on your shot in that green number 41 last lap motorsports car. Gap between him and De Jong about 1 second on the racetrack, so De Jong won't be able to close that in this lap. He's going to have to push a little bit harder to see if he's going to get that job done there. But McBride is having a good race here so far, as he's up 4 positions at the drop of the green flag. That last lap just a couple of attempts slower than his fastest lap of the race. So then, it is finally starting to settle down. Now, we have talked to some drivers, and these cars are going to get overall tighter over the course of this event. They start off a little bit loose. We saw that, of course, with a couple of these drivers, but then they will get progressively tighter over the course of this event. But Pinheiro still leads now with a 2.6 second advantage over Nigel Marneef. But we have got a three-way scrap developing here, and this is Tim Doyle, we were talking about a couple of moments ago. He's been able to get himself now past 2 cars. In fact, he's been able to get himself past 3 cars in this lap. He's now ahead of Dinton Machado, Tim Miller, and Randy Course. They've been able to get past them the last couple of laps. With Nigel Martin-Kirkham just spinning his car there in the OMR sim racing car. We'll get ourselves a replay of that. It's looking as though that some of these drivers, they are still struggling with these issues concerning getting some power down and keeping themselves the right way around. You see down, just locking himself under braking there from Nigel Kirkham. So then riding on board with Tim Miller now. He's running in the 12th position, trying to close down the car ahead of him. Now, Miller had himself a pretty good qualifying, but he hasn't got the royal speed here down in turn 1. Didn't get a good run out of the final corner. Car hits the wall ahead of him. That is Brendan Lichtenberg. I don't think I've seen that in a very long time. Time to get ourselves a replay of that, because that was a truly crazy moment there. And you'll notice, just as they come down into turn 1, the car ahead of Brendan Lichtenberg, something happened to him. There he is up on your screen, down into turn 1. He just smacks the wall there. Something happened to him. Brendan Lichtenberg very lucky that he's even able to carry on his car in a straight direction. We'll get ourselves one more replay of that, this time on board from Brendan Lichtenberg. This here it is, down into turn 1. And I think that car just snaps left in him as he comes down. That's going to damage his suspension there on that broken aero car. And he's back out and away, but you can see there in the next couple of corners, big substantial damage for him. So Victor Del Porto, he is closing up now. You can see it to the rear of Nigel Marneve, who runs in that second position. Victor Del Porto, he's down a net gain of 1 place into drop of the green flag. But that last time by, he did a 1 minute 13.323 in that number 27 iRacing Brazil car. So work themselves down that back straightaway once again. You can tell that he's got a little bit of traffic that he's just got past. That's going to be a benefit to him, getting him done before that twisty section of the racetrack. But that gap between Marneve there on your screen and Victor Del Porto, just 1.2 seconds on the racetrack. They'll have a great battle in that scrap for P2. However, Pinheiro is checking out right now, so if you're Del Porto, you're going to have to hope that you can get past Marneve as quickly as possible, then see, as we get closer to halfway distance, if you've got enough left in the tank to then make a charge for the battle for the race lead. Down into turn 1 then with Nigel Marneve. There's the gap between himself and the car behind, which is Victor Del Porto. Doesn't look as though that he's got enough right now, Del Porto, to get past, but that of course may continue to change over the course of this event here today. And as it all stands right now, it is Pinheiro's race to win. I'm going to have to say that gap really has started to increase those last couple of laps. As you'll just see, that last time by for Pinheiro, 1 minute 12.980, just a couple of tenths of a second off this fast lap of the race. But he's just one of the only guys right now running himself into the 1 minute 12. In fact, we're having a look, only 2 drivers have done times in the 1 minute 12 so far. Pinheiro is one of them. The second one is that guy right there, Michael Dinkel, last time by 1 minute 12.819. With Dinkel right now being scored in the 9th position on the racetrack. Dinkel needs all he can get, because we're just having a look. He's 24 seconds behind the race leader as we're working ourselves on lap number 10 now out of 25 here. Don't forget, a little bit later on, of course, we will head on to the oval side of things. A little bit of racing there, and in between that we're going to bring you some details of the 16th Street Racing League for 2014 as well. So Del Porto, is he catching? The answer is not really. He's in that dirty air of Nigel Marneve, and he's not being able to do much about it right now. Behind him though, Carlos Washington is having himself a great little scrap right now as we ride on board with him through in that Alliance Sky Racing car as they come onto the banking once again. You see car ahead of him, that is Deco Guimaraes, just about 4 tenths per second back, and Carlos Washington spins it there. That what is going to be the most critical part of this racetrack. He's going to have to hope that no car is going to try and storm past him. There is one of them that is just able to do so. You've got to be careful if you spin the car here as well, because it can be that you get collected in a huge incident. But Carlos Washington, very lucky to get away with that one as he brings his car back onto the banking and down into turn number 1 once again. But he was catching Guimaraes and undid all of that work in one fell sweep, as we're getting word that Michael Dinkel actually is going to be classified as not out of the race. I would take that back completely, but he is just catching up now to the rear of the Matters, going to ride on board with Dinkel as they bring those cars back down onto that front straightaway once again. This is what we're doing about speed-wise, 175 miles an hour, 177 miles an hour. He's going to look down to the inside, is Dinkel over the number 19 car. This looks as though it's going to be an incredibly easy pass, getting it done there into turn number 1. Now can Dinkel just make sure he keeps that car working through turn 2? that time by very easy for him. And the good thing as well is that he's been able to get through this lap traffic very quickly as well. So now getting closer to halfway distance here in the first of today's event, and it is still Pinheiro leading the way now, a 3-second advantage over Nigel Marnier. Del Porto has been able to close it down just a little bit. He is now just only about 0.8 of a second behind Nigel Marnier. McBride still runs in 4th, but this is a good battle we have going on right now between Garis and Nell McBride. Dennis Garis, we're going to go on board with him because he has been catching up quite a bit in these last couple of laps. As there you see, he's trying to close up to the rear of Nell McBride. It looks like he might be able to get the job done this time by. McBride's not going to make it easy for him, but here comes Dennis Garis down to the inside of that number 41 car. Pass is complete there. Dennis Garis moving himself up into the 4th position, but no, yes he will. Now McBride looks as though he's going to try and make a cheeky pass there, try and do the crossover. Didn't quite work out there for Dennis Garis. He is up 1 position on the racetrack. And things have really started to settle down now, but Dinkel has already closed up to the rear of Michael Armstrong. Armstrong's actually off there. That is going to allow Michael Dinkel to go past, and a couple of other cars for good measure there as well. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one up on your screen from Michael Armstrong. Just see exactly what happened to him. Looks like he just got himself a little bit wide as he worked himself through that section of the racetrack. There you see, under pressure from Michael Dinkel, then gets himself wide onto the grass, onto the marbles. Game over for him. Tim Miller having a good battle right now with Andre Catamol in what is essentially a battle for the 18th position on the racetrack. You see, we need to take this one back because it's just moved itself around on our screens. But Catamol just about a 6/10 of a second advantage right now over Tim Miller. These two have been scrapping for quite a while now as they continue their journey along on the racetrack. Catamol unfortunately is down 2 places from where he started this race in that number 24 car. However, he is now also scored 1 lap down this event, and that is not what you want to be. 14 laps into a 25-lap sprint race, scored 1 lap down. It really will hurt your chances of getting good points in this All-Star event, but it does look as though some of his fellow countrymen running in the iRacing Brazil IndyCar Series are just incredibly strong here today. Dinkel now catching up to the rear of Noah McBride. So the charge of Dinkel continues. There's a gap between McBride and De Jong. That's the wrong thing there up on your screen. But McBride is falling back, and he is falling back rather rapidly. Now, let's see whether or not he has got enough in the tank to hold off what will be Michael Dinkel this time by. But here is on board with McBride. Looks like this time he's just able to hold off Michael Dinkel as the cars come down in turn 1. See a car coming out of pit road. Dinkel is going to look down to the inside. It's not going to be. Is it going to be? The answer is going to be yes. Dinkel is going to be able to get ahead there on McBride. Move Michael Dinkel up 1 more position on your racetrack. We'll get ourselves a very quick replay of that. There you see Dinkel in the yellow and green car, McBride in the green and black car. Dinkel, late brake down to the inside, and very good job there by McBride. He thought about turning in, decided not to do so. Dinkel up 1 position, now into 6th, of course, after a disastrous start, was leading this race, then got himself a huge issue. Now is scored, trying to recoup some ground before we go to the ovals in just a little bit. Andrea Piero very close to the rear, though, by the looks of it, of Victor Del Porto. Is he going to make a move down to the inside? They are mighty close right now, and it's going to be the last of the late breakers, perhaps. And I do actually think that Del Porto has now moved himself. Yes, he has. He's moved himself up into 2nd position. There's Pinheiro in the 3rd position, and Del Porto, there you see him, out up into the 2nd spot in that number 27 car. So a good job there by Victor Del Porto, and yet another pass we've seen happen down into turn number 1. So here's how that pass was set up. Del Porto was able to actually already be ahead by the time they worked themselves down to this section of the racetrack. So Del Porto now is running himself in that second position on the racetrack, continuing his journey to try and catch up for the race lead. And actually, we're looking so Nigel Marneef has actually scored as your race leader now, so something has happened. Marneef is scored as your race leader, but there you see that Del Porto is only about 7/10 of a second further back as it stands right now. So it is all systems go for some of these cars, but Marneef definitely is now on defense, playing real defense. We ride on board. You see a car just spun down into turn one, but the gap is now just 5/10 of a second between himself and Victor Del Porto, with 9 laps of this race to go. And this battle will continue. Del Porto is looking for a bit of redemption right now, and this battle is one that could really go on to the end. And there you see Del Porto right behind as they work themselves back down onto the home and straightaway again. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is your battle for the race play. A couple of other battles going on right now. Dinkel has been able to get himself past De Jong. De Jong isn't giving up without a fight, however. You've got Carlos Washington and Deca Guerrero battling for position as well. But Marneef really is putting the hammer down, trying to hope that he can keep Del Porto behind him, getting himself a good run out of turn number 12, which is enabling him to set himself up for a charge. And that means he's able to keep that position for the time being. You see, just at the rear, Del Porto isn't going to be quite close enough that time by. So he's going to have to wait yet another lap to try and get that job done. What's the battle for the race lead? Another car going slowly. That is Brendan Lichtenberg. We saw the issue with him a little bit earlier on. Got one other damaged car as well. That is Eric Davis. There you see him up on your screen as well, driving for Banshee Autosport. Banshee Autosport drivers really are struggling here today in this event, running in both the ISOWC and the 16 Street Racing League. And there goes Eric Davis off the track, allowing both those guys to go past. He'd rather do that than have those guys ahead of him, get him to a potential big accident in this event. But this battle for the race lead continues, and it is a fascinating battle that is going on between these two right now. Let's have a look from on board Victor Del Porto. Let's see what's going on with him as he comes down into the section again. You see, this is the corner here that you need that momentum. You need to see whether, and because Marneef's so slow here, can't get onto the gas when he needs to. Now he needs to just floor that throttle and hope it works. He's again fallen back a little bit. He's about 4 or 5 tenths per second. Not close enough to really get the toe he needs down this front straightaway. He is a little bit closer. That gap is down to about 3-4 car lengths on the racetrack right now. So he might be able to do a very late break down into turn 1, but it's going to have to be a very late break for Victor Del Porto. The gap is closing. He is going to look down to the inside. Then he darts back out to the outside. He knows he's too far back. He's going to leave that one to dry for maybe one more lap. Laps are counting down right now. Victor Del Porto in that battle for the race lead. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to step aside for just literally 30 seconds and we will be right back. So then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Continuing coverage here in the first 2 races on RaceSpot TV. Del Porto still running in that second position. Marneef is still leading the way. You can see that front straightaway is incredibly busy right now. That might make things a little bit more difficult for Del Porto, but at the same time, Marneef has got to be incredibly careful as he works through this traffic. You can see he knows he's coming up ahead of it and behind it even. He's got 2-3 cars he might have to get past. This lap is riding on board with Nigel Marneef in that number 069 car. I believe that might actually be Randy Crosno ahead of him. Just going to see if we can get an angle. I believe that is Randy Crosno actually just ahead of him. About 4 or 5 car lengths ahead. And he's going to catch all of these cars at the worst possible opportunity. He's just going to have to hope now they'll have enough of a tow down this front straightaway to hold off an attack from Victor Del Porto for another lap, and maybe he can get one or two of these cars done, and then have Del Porto have to get past them into turn number 1 or out of turn number 1, giving him a very slight advantage. But here the cars all come down into turn number 1 once again. There is the gap behind. About half a second. Marnif is going to get the toes. He's going to have to go around the outside of Randy Cross now as they come past the yard of bricks. Now he's going to look down to the inside. Del Porto has lost out a little bit there, and Marnif is actually struggling to get past Randy Cross now. Now he's been able to do so. It's actually Tim Doyle ahead of him as well. Back down into 1 they go. Marnif actually couldn't get the job done there over Randy Crosno. Potentially, that could just all be because Crosno had so much of a draft from Tim Doyle. But this is wadded up, this battle for the race lead. Just about 4 tenths of a second now on the racetrack. And there you can see is Victor Del Porto. That's barely about 3 car lengths. And here comes Del Porto trying to look down to the inside. Not quite close enough, but this battle really is heating up now for the race lead. Del Porto literally just about a car length or so further back. Will Del Porto try and make that move down to the inside the next time they come down into the past the yard of bricks? Because now he knows that Marnif was struggling overtaking some traffic, and this is a very interesting last 4.5 laps we're going to have of this race. You see, once again, Marnif is really struggling to get past Randy Crosno. Going to go on board with Marnif once again. And there's the gap behind. We'll keep that one up on your screen for you. Will he be able to get past Crosno this time by? The answer is going to be he's going to try and look to the high side. But now he's going to get past Crosno. Will he be able to get past Tim Doyle as well? It's going to be a late break, but this time it does look as though that Marnif is able to move himself up 1 position on the racetrack. And thankfully for him, that is critically important for him. Let's have a look a little bit further down the field, just very quickly with 4 laps to go in this first event. We talked about battles with Tim Miller a little bit earlier on. There you see he's battling with Dave Jinks, and he's not quite going to be close enough to go down to the inside this time by. But these two have had themselves a great little battle. Dave Jinks, oh, Dave Jinks spins it around there. That is not what you want. The curse of the commentators strike again. Dave Jinks, just as he was working himself through turn number 1, talking about how good a race he is, just loses it down into that first corner, and they will get a look on board with Dave Jinks there, using that white line. Then that car just spins him around. We've seen so many cars here today. Get one more look of it, but Dave Jinks' day is not happened for him. In fact, we're not going to get a replay of that because Victor Del Porto has actually, whilst we're looking at the battle a little bit further down the field, been able to get himself now up into the race lead. We're going to have a look to see whether we can get a confirmation of when this was. But it is looking as though that Victor Del Porto is now, yes he is indeed your race lead, and we believe it might be because something happened to Nigel Marnif. So let's keep our eye out on him to get the replay up. Yeah, you see at this point Marnif was ahead on the racetrack, trying to get himself past Tim Doyle, and I've got a feeling that he might just be a little bit loose in corner exit. Yes, he definitely is. Into the wall there for Nigel Marnif, and that's what cost him the race lead, and that is going to be a heartbreak for him, having one of his best races in a very long time here on the big stage of the All-Star race. Get one more look on board of that Magnus number 069 car. Again, that car just snaps at him, and he just makes light contact with the wall there. Nigel Marnif is falling down into 2nd position, but look who's now up actually into 3rd and putting pressure on Marnif. It is actually Michael Dinkel right now, and there is the gap. Just 7 tenths of a second. Dinkel is back in with a chance of not only getting a podium, getting himself in 2nd place with just 2 and a bit laps to go in this event. Great stuff by Dinkel. And Dinkel's coming on pit road. Dinkel is going to come on towards pit road. So, are these guys a little bit light on fuel? Have they got to make a pit stop? But Dinkel has bringing his car onto pit road. So this is a change of events like no other, with just a little bit of time left to go. Let's have a look to see how long this pit stop is going to be for Michael Dinkel in the number 15 Vortex Sim Racing car, because he did not want to have that happen to him. And let's keep an eye out on all of these guys as they work themselves through past top finish line. Where he's likely to come out, he's going to lose the place now to Adriano Pinheiro, who is just going to pass him right now, down into 4th place. Oh, he overshoots his pit box as well. That's even worse for Dinkel. He's putting in a little bit of fuel, splash and dash, and he is back out and away on the racetrack. But Dinkel, his day is going from bad to worse right now as he brings his car back out onto the racetrack, overshooting his pit box as an added measure. That is the last thing you want to have happen to you. Dinkel now down in that 4th spot on the racetrack. So then, for Victor Del Porto, this time by, the white flag is in hand. One more lap to go for Victor Del Porto as he crosses the yard of bricks. The white flag is out now. Down into turn number 1, he will come then for the final time. He had his mishaps at the start of this race, but he's been able now to get himself a huge advantage. Oh no, he doesn't! He spins that car. They're trying to avoid a lapped car. He shouldn't lose out too badly. He shouldn't lose out too badly at all, but Del Porto is very lucky to have gotten away with that one, as Nigel Marneve is also coming down now onto pit road with just 1 lap to go. So some of these guys have been very light on fuel. A little bit of fuel saving hands come into play here for some of these guys. Marneve is probably going to fall down now into about 3rd position. Let's not forget, it's going to be a short stop, 4.5 seconds there for Nigel Marneve. He should just been passed though by Michael Dinkel, so he'll fall down into that 4th place on the racetrack in the last lap of this event. Nigel Marneve now down into P number 4, but for Victor Del Porto, working himself, you see the huge gaggle of cars ahead of him. He has nowhere to go. He just has to hope these guys don't have a huge wreck in these last couple of corners. They're working the opposite way into turn number 1 of the oval. In just a short moment's time, they're going to be going in the opposite direction. But ladies and gentlemen, coming out the final corner for the final time, Victor Del Porto takes victory here in the first of the 2 races that make up the RaceSpot TV All Star event. Looking back to 2nd position is going to be Adriano Pinheiro coming home in the 2nd position then. He is working himself now through that final corner for the final time. Got himself an easy 15-second cushion over Michael Dinkel, but Pinheiro will get the job done there as he crosses the top finish line. P2 for him. It's an iRacing Brazil 1-2 in this event. They take the bragging rights, but look at this Dinkel. Is he going to try and go 3 wide at the final corner? They're going to be 4 wide almost there. Crazy, crazy stuff. But that one just actually did happen. Michael Dinkel does finish in the 3rd place. We're going to have to get ourselves a replay of that one as it comes up on your screen now. There you see it looking on the outside line. They were 3 wide. Oh, and he makes a bit of contact there as well. So that's what the issue was for Dinkel. He does, however, come home in the 3rd place in the event. So then, we're going to run through your final race results in just 1 moment's time from this, the first of the 2 events. Just waiting for the last couple of cars to come past start-finish line. There's Michael Armstrong coming past. Got a couple of people out of fuel. There's the number 43 car out of fuel. He's going to get a push from the teammate by the look of it. There we are. There we see. He's going to get a push back down past the start-finish line. He knows he's got to get himself past at the end if he can. And Nubzica Almeida bringing himself. You'll see how slowly he's going. Only about 50 miles an hour. It's going to take him a while. He might be able to use the banking to his advantage here. It's going to take him a while to get past the start-finish line. But Almeida will be classified with 11th place in this event by the looks of it. Not very far left for him to go. There you can see, working himself on the banking. He might need another tap though from his friend and teammate. There you see he's ready just in case. It does look as though he might need one more final push to get him to the end of this race. There we are. That is enough. Thankfully for him, the yard of bricks is looming. You can see the flagman up in the stand. He will crawl past the start finish line at a grand total 35 miles an hour, but he gets there. Well, that pretty much is everyone past start finish line now, so we can run through your final race results here from the first of today's races, and it is Victor Del Porto taking the victory from Adriano Pinheiro by 22 seconds overall in the first of today's event. Then third place, Michael Dinkel in race number 1. Nigel Marneef coming home in the 4th position. Mikel de Jong round out your top 5. And then in 6th place is Rafael Mata. 7th is Dennis Garis. 8th is Michael Armstrong. 9th is Tim Dart. And then 10th is Numzito Almeida, as we work ourselves onto our second page of the results. It is Randy Crosno, Brendan Lichtenberg, Tim Miller, Dave Jinks, Carlos Washington, Nigel Michael Kirkin, Deco Gamares, Eric Davis, Pedro Humanik Filo, and Terry Mattinson. Final lot of the results coming up on your screen, and there you see it. 29 drivers finished overall here today. So then, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to step aside for just one moment, and then we'll be back with continuing coverage of this, the 2014 RaceSpot TV All Star Invitational, as well as announcing the 16th Street Racing League schedule for 2014 as well. Stick with us. We will be right back.
Do you think about it a lot? Do you wake up in the morning and think, how can I give my bum some love? Would you neglect it, honestly?
I don't know.
I'm hearing from you that you kind of neglect your bum.
I wouldn't say I neglect it.
Do you have good toilet paper?
Yeah, I use cotton now.
Yeah?
I'm a dry wiper right now.
Yeah, I used to be a dry wiper. So I do a kind of dry, wet, dry thing.
I'm excited. I can't wait to have to use the bathroom and try it out.
Feel a clean so fresh, it can only be Cottonelle.
So then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to continuing coverage for the 2014 RaceSpot TV All Star Invitational. We've gone from the road course to the ovals, and now we are getting ourselves ready to run 50 laps around the historic Indianapolis Motor Speedway here on RaceSpot TV. Don't forget, if you're just joining us, you can check out this broadcast in Portuguese as well. Just click the little link on your YouTube player, powered by iRacing Brazil. Joined for the oval side of things by Jake Cameron. However, Jake, before we go any further, we have got to announce the 2014 16th Street Racing League schedule. You've not seen it. I'm one of only 3 people that have seen it. But the 16th Street Racing League, of course, is one of the most famous and also realistic and competitive IndyCar series there is, period.
Yeah, one of the greatest series. Just shame about the time, really. I've not been able to run it last season with the time being so late on a Sunday night, but managed to get into one Iowa race, and wow, that was an incredible race. It was 3 wide racing around Iowa, which you don't normally see, so it's definitely one of the best IndyCar racing leagues about, and I think with the new DW12 and the schedule coming soon, it's going to be an incredible one.
And don't forget as well, RaceSpot TV are bringing you coverage of all but one of the races of the 2014 16th Street Racing League schedule as well. And what it does, Jake, is it means that you've got IndyCar racing on RaceSpot TV all year long. In the summer, we've got the ISOWC IndyCar Series, and of course with that, we bring you our coverage of the iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 as well. In the winter, we're going to 16th Street League mode, and what it means is that for about 40 weeks of the year we worked it out to be, RaceSpot TV provides you with top quality IndyCar coverage.
What more could you want, hey? 40 weeks of IndyCar coverage. It's going to be an incredible thing. It's going to keep guys interested during the winter when you have no real racing on the TV. So make sure you do tune into the broadcast, because there's only going to be the best of the best racing, and you're going to have the best guys commentating them as well.
Are you ready?
I don't know. I'm ready, Will. I am ready.
All right. So here is page number 1. 20 races for the 2014 schedule. There are your first 10. We kick off the season in traditional fashion at Homestead Miami Speedway. That'll be on the 5th of October 2014. And Jake, that's just 2 weeks after we round out the ISOWC season with the rescheduled ISOWC Indianapolis 500.
Yeah, it's going to be a big change for drivers from going to Indy to Homestead, but what an incredible track Homestead's going to be in this new DW12. I'm really looking forward to that, and it's going to be a great opener. Normally shows up with a lot of drivers as the opener for the ISOWC did as well. We saw at least 43 drivers take to that track, so it was a full field. Whether we can get that again in the 16th Street Racing League is no hesitant, because I know we will.
Then from Homestead, we stay in Florida. We go to Sebring International Raceway. Then we fly cross-country over to Phoenix. Then we head ourselves to Alabama, Barber Motorsports Park, Twin Ring Motegi, and then 9th of November, same weekend as the actual Grand Prix, we head over to Circuit of the Americas. First time we're going to see that one here on RaceSpot TV in IndyCar competition. Really looking forward to that one, Jake.
Yeah, as you say, COTA's never been run yet in the ISOWC or in the IndyCar, so it'll be a very interesting one to be shown live. And I'm sure it's going to bring up a lot of new techniques because the curbs around that track are incredible. You touch one of them and you can be on two wheels, and in an IndyCar, we know they're not the strongest of cars. So drivers will have to be very careful on that, but that's going to be a good one, and especially going to bring out the best of the best in the road racing.
Then Richmond, Road America, Loudon, New Hampshire, and Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road. That rounds out our first half of the season. Ready for page 2?
Just tease me, Will.
Go on. Page 2, we give you the Triple Crown of 16th Street Racing League as well. There you see it on your screen. We kick things off after the Christmas break, the 28th of December, the 5th annual 16th Street Indianapolis 500, 200 laps around the greatest racetrack in the world. Just after Christmas, everyone's still stuffed with turkey, but they had to get set for 200 laps of sheer adrenaline. And last year had one of the craziest finishes I think I've ever called in an IndyCar race, Jake.
Yeah, it had a hell of a crazy finish, and I'm sure it's going to have another hell of a crazy finish this year with the drivers that are going to be lining up in that competition. But incredible. It's going to be absolutely amazing just after that Christmas period. So guys are going to really be hungry for some more racing, and that's what we want to see from them all. So can't wait for that one either, Will.
Then we continue this season along. Watkins Glen International, Texas Motor Speedway, Twin Ring Motegi. That's all before the second Triple Crown race. 400 miles at Pocono. Yes, I am trying to get and make it 500 miles. Got to bear with me on that one. But Pocono, 500 miles. Street to Long Beach is the only race we're not broadcasting. That is on its traditional non-Sunday date. There's a little thing called the Super Bowl, which always seems to get in the way of the 16th Street Racing League schedule, Jake. So once again, great play. I'm trying to put Long Beach on there because it doesn't really make for a very good broadcast, does it?
No, we have done the ISOWC there, and it was all right, but I don't think it's the best quality really for streaming. So maybe me and you could just do a little radio voice broadcast about it, and at the end, and we'll tell guys and sum it up maybe in a 16th Street Racing League podcast or something like that. But whatever happens, we'll definitely bring you guys the action from that race.
And then we finish off the season in a very fast style. Iowa Speedway, the Bullring, the Milwaukee Mile, one of the favourite tracks of the 16th Street Racing League. Always great racing there. Sonoma Raceway, we finish it off. We start off in Florida, we finish off in California. Sonoma Raceway and Auto Club Speedway, the third of the Triple Crown event. And just to let you guys know, RaceSpot TV will offer a $200 prize to anyone who can win the entire Triple Crown. Never been done before? Could well happen this year, Jake, and it'll be very tough, I think, for one driver to win all 3 races. I don't think anyone is in ISOWC competition, even if you have a look at the official series, you very rarely see someone being able to win Auto Club, Pocono, and Indy in one season.
Very rare, very, very rare, as you say, Will. But looking after the Indy 500 last week, and there was some real talent in that race, and Goki got the first and second, so maybe he could push for that Triple Crown in all 3 of them races. But wow, what a prize fund that's going to be. $200, you say, or £200 it's going to be incredible if one driver can take all 3 of them. So I think that's going to entice some of the professionals in as well to maybe try and run some of them races.
So there you see, final confirmation, your 20 races that makes up the 2014 16th Street Racing League, powered by iRaceForLife.org. Thank you very much to everyone who's been involved in helping us get this schedule together. Unfortunately, Joe Branch has taken over many of the series admin duties, isn't available, but he says to me that this is one of the most difficult schedules that he's ever had to put together. There's so many constraints in the way, so many things he wanted to get lined up, but overall, an incredibly good schedule, Jake.
Yeah, incredible schedule, absolutely amazing, and really just as good as the ISOWC, and it's going to show as much talent as what the ISOWC has as well. So that's going to be a cracker to start 2 weeks after we finish with the Indy 500. So can't wait for that, Will. October, write it in your diary, guys, because the 16th Street League is back.
And all but one race is broadcast here on RaceSpot TV. You'll notice start times for all of these events. 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time will be live on air from 7 p.m. Eastern Time for all of those events. Just as a little bit of a teaser, mark the 14th of March 2015 in your calendar as well. There might be another series restarting back up then. Who knows, Jake?
Who knows, Will? Anything can happen that day, and whatever happens, it will be a cracker.
So then, we're going to take ourselves a very quick break, and then we'll be back with the conclusion of practice and qualifying for the second of today's events in the RaceSpot TV All Star Invitational. That was your game break while we introduce the 16th Street Racing League schedule for 2014. Let us know your forwards at RaceSpot TV. Leave your comments in the YouTube page as well. We will be right back.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday! Prepare to get a roundhouse of awesome square in your face hole, because the 400 at the Brickyard is back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's got real bricks, made of tears. Nothing's more American than the Brickyard. Not even an eagle punching another eagle at a rodeo. Gordon, Stewart, Bush, Jr. What about Jimmy? Shut up! There's a bajillion drivers. How do they all fit on the track? Witness the insanity of men. Mensanity. 400 miles of mensanity. Multiplied by 200 miles per hour equals 30 bucks! Math sucks! Still don't have your tickets? Kids 12 and under get in free! Go to Chinchillas! Bring your chinchilla, it gets in free! You got toast? Bring it, cause there's tons of jam at the Brickfest with Justin Moore, the band Perry, and Brantley Gilbert. He's hot! Who said that? Sunday, Sunday, Sunday! Rip open a NASCAR-sized can of purpose!
My life has meaning!
Chug it!
Get out of my way!
Here's your man card! It's a card made of real man! Bring it to the 400 at the Brickyard July 27th and give your prefrontal cortex a wedgie! Google it!
The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the turn. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's been the race to the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go.
Oh,
As you love it.
here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
So then, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to continuing coverage here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And Jake, we've done the roadside. Roadside is in the books. Great victory there by Victor Del Porto. However, now we head ourselves on to the ovals. And the ovals means we're going to go racing for 50 more laps.
Yeah, incredible race. I didn't actually manage to get to see much of it due to being stuck in traffic, but what I saw of the rest of the race at the end was incredible stuff. So well done there to Victor Del Porto. But looking to the ovals, this is going to be a whole different case for some guys. They're not going to be able to run the way they do on the road courses. So some of them road guys are going to struggle, I think, as we see Michael de Jong topping the practice timetable. So he's going to be a favourite at the moment, but some very quick guys on the oval races in this one, Will.
And we are going to stop very quickly, give ourselves another quick break, and then we'll be right back, because I'm a little bit confused. Right, I'm going to have to set up a second screen.